In the village of Umoro, where golden fields stretched endlessly and ancient baobab trees stood like silent guardians, lived a man named Enami. He was feared for one peculiar habit, laughing at funerals. While others wept, he would burst into loud, uncontrollable laughter, as if sorrow itself were amusing. Some called him cursed, others believed he had lost his mind. Children ran from him, and women whispered his name in fear. No one understood his eerie joy during moments of grief, and no one dared to ask. When Elder Obina, the village's most respected man, passed away, Enami's laughter could no longer be ignored. His secret was about to unravel. One morning, the village awoke to the news of Elder Obina's passing. The pain spread quickly, like ripples in a still pond. Obina had been more than just a leader. He was the village's wisdom, its heart. He settled disputes with a firm but fair hand, fed the hungry when harvests failed, and carried the stories of their ancestors as a sacred duty. His absence left a void no one could fill. Preparations for his funeral began immediately. The villagers wove mats, cooked food, and gathered palm leaves for the ceremony. Grief hung in the air, thick and heavy. Yet beneath their mourning, an unspoken fear crept into their hearts. Would Enami come? And if he did, would he laugh? The thought alone was unbearable. Elder Obina deserved honor and dignity. The idea that Enami might disgrace the ceremony with his strange, joyous outburst sent unease rippling through the village. Some suggested banning him. Others argued it was not their place to forbid anyone from mourning. But all watched the road anxiously, waiting. On the day of the funeral, the village square was draped in sorrow. The sky, once bright, now held the weight of gray clouds. Villagers arrived in their finest black garments, heads bowed, voices low. Obina's family sat at the front, their tears falling silently as the priest began the ceremony. Then, just as the first words were spoken, he appeared. Enami. He stood at the back of the crowd, dressed as he always was, in a wrinkled shirt and dusty sandals. His presence alone sent a wave of tension through the gathering. Some villagers clenched their fists, others gritted their teeth. Maybe, just this once, he would stay silent. The priest spoke of Obina's life, his kindness, wisdom, sacrifices. The villagers listened, their sorrow deepening with every word. Mothers held their children close, old men wiped their eyes. Then, without warning, laughter, loud, unrestrained, ringing through the silence like thunder. Gasps filled the air, faces twisted in shock. Some turned to stone, others to rage. There, at the back of the crowd, Enami stood, shoulders shaking, mouth stretched in a wide grin. He clutched his stomach, wiping away tears, not of grief, but of amusement. It was as if he had just heard the funniest joke in the world. The villagers were frozen. Horror clung to them, thick as the dust beneath their feet. Then, Obina's son, Chike, shot to his feet. His hands curled into fists, his face burning with fury. "How dare you!" His voice boomed across the square. "How dare you laugh at my father's funeral!" Murmurs of agreement spread through the crowd, growing louder. Some villagers stepped forward, ready to throw Enami out. Others glared in disgust. But Enami did not stop. If anything, he laughed harder. Chike stormed toward him, breath heavy, rage unchecked. "What is wrong with you?" he demanded. "Why do you mock my father? Why do you mock our grief?" The crowd pressed in, demanding answers. Yet Enami only smiled. "I am not mocking him," he said finally, voice calm, almost gentle. "I laugh because I see what you cannot." A stunned silence followed. The villagers exchanged confused glances. "What do you mean?" someone asked. But Enami only shook his head. "You would not understand." And without another word, he turned and walked away. The funeral continued, but the damage was done. The villagers could not focus, minds swirling with questions. That night, the air buzzed with whispers. Why does he do this? Does he know something we don't? What did he mean when he said he could see what we cannot? Some believed he was simply insane, cursed by the spirits. Others feared he had knowledge no one else possessed. Cheek, however, could not let it go. He had never felt such humiliation, such anger. His father's memory had been dishonored, the village disgraced, and all because of Enami. But beneath his fury, something else lurked. Doubt. Why had Enami spoken with such certainty? What if he was telling the truth? The thought clawed at Cheek's mind, refusing to leave. Determined to find the truth, he made a decision. He would not rest until he uncovered the meaning behind Enami's laughter. Little did he know the answers he sought would unravel secrets far darker than he could have ever imagined. And the true mystery of Enami was only just beginning. This is just the beginning of the tale of the man who laughed at funerals. His laughter was not madness, nor mere cruelty. It was something else entirely, something that would shake the village of Umoro to its core. But what did Enami see that no one else could? That answer would change everything. Part 2. A death that changed everything. In the village of Umoro, Enami's unsettling laughter had become a haunting enigma. When Amaka, a young woman celebrated for her kindness and warmth, was found dead, the community was thrown into turmoil. Some whispered of a tragic accident, others suspected foul play. Her mother tearfully recounted Amaka's recent fears and unease, hinting she had uncovered a dangerous secret. As the village prepared for her funeral, one question loomed. Would Enami attend? On the day of the funeral, beneath a somber sky, villagers gathered in mourning. Enami appeared, his expression inscrutable, causing unease among the attendees. During the priest's eulogy, Enami's sudden, unrestrained laughter shattered the solemnity, eliciting gasps and anger. Confronted by Amaka's grieving mother, Enami responded cryptically, "I do not laugh at her. I laugh because the truth is near," before departing, leaving confusion in his wake. Chike, already aggrieved by Enami's behavior at his own father's funeral, felt compelled to seek answers. Investigating Amaka's final days, he learned from her friend Adana that Amaka had discovered something perilous and intended to inform the elders, but was silenced before she could. Determined, Chiki confronted Enami, who revealed that both his father and Amaka had been murdered, and that their restless spirits sought justice. Skeptical yet disturbed, Cheek delved deeper, uncovering that his father had complained of a bitter taste in his food before his death, a sign of poisoning. The village healer Adaku confirmed these suspicions, admitting she had sensed foul play. Realizing the deaths were connected and fearing for his own safety, Chiki resolved to uncover the truth. The mystery of Enami's laughter had unveiled a path leading to a hidden crime within Umoro, and Chiki's pursuit of justice promised to expose secrets that some would kill to protect. Part 3. The Truth in the Shadows. Cheek had spent days chasing the elusive truth, piecing together whispers and unanswered questions. Enami's words haunted him. His father hadn't died of old age, and Amaka's death wasn't accidental. Someone in Umoro was hiding something dark, and Chiki feared he might be next. His mind circled the same names. His uncle Inu had argued with his father before his death. The housemaid Ada had been in the kitchen where the food was prepared. Amaka had known something dangerous, and now she was gone. None of this was coincidence. Chika needed answers. He found Ada near the river, washing clothes with trembling hands. When she saw him, she looked away, guilt evident. "I know what happened," Chiki said. "You need to tell me the truth." Ada hesitated, gripping a wet cloth tightly. Then her shoulders sagged, and she let out a shaky breath. "I didn't want to be part of it," she whispered. "But he threatened me." Cheek's heart pounded. "Who?" "Your uncle, Inu." Ada revealed that Inu had forced her to let him into the kitchen, where he poisoned Obina's food gradually. It was a slow, deliberate crime. Chiki clenched his fists, rage boiling. His own uncle, who had shared meals with their family and pretended to grieve at Obina's funeral. And Amaka? Had she learned the truth? Was that why she was killed? Ada's eyes filled with tears. She overheard him. She was going to tell the elders. Chiki stepped back, breath shallow. His father's death was planned. Amaka's was a desperate attempt to silence her. Enami had been right all along. But knowing the truth wasn't enough. Cheek needed proof. That night, Cheek met Enami under the old baobab tree. Moonlight cast long shadows. "He won't confess easily," Cheek said. "Then we must give him no choice," Enami replied. They devised a plan to force Inu to reveal his guilt publicly. The next evening, Cheeky invited his uncle to dinner, greeting him with a smile despite his anger. As they ate, Cheeky steered the conversation toward Obina's death. "It still feels strange," he said. "His passing was so sudden." Inu's expression remained unchanged. "Death comes when it chooses." Cheeky pressed on. "And Amaka, her death was sudden too." Inu's fingers tensed around his cup. "Tragedies happen," he muttered. The room was silent, tension thick. Then Chike leaned forward, voice unwavering. "I know you poisoned my father." Inu froze, his mask slipping. "You have no proof," he said. Cheek didn't look away. Ada confessed. Silence followed. Inu's hands trembled. He glanced around, searching for an escape. "Lies," he spat. "The words of a frightened girl mean nothing." Then from the shadows, another voice spoke. "Then perhaps your own words will." Enami stepped forward, holding a signed confession from Ada, already given to the village elders. Inu's face drained of color. He stood abruptly, knocking over his drink. "You think you can ruin me with this nonsense?" Cheek remained calm. "I am not the one who ruined you. You did that yourself." The walls closed in. Inu's breath was ragged, hands twitching. Finally, he cracked. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this," he muttered. "I only meant to weaken him, not kill him. And Amaka, she should have stayed quiet." The confession was out. The truth could no longer be buried. A knock at the door made Inu freeze. The village elders entered, expressions grim. They had heard enough. The verdict was swift. Inu was to be banished, never to return. The villagers stood in stunned silence as he was led away, shoulders hunched in defeat. Ada, though a victim of threats, was also exiled for keeping the secret. As the village gathered, Enami stood beside Chaiki, a knowing smile on his lips. "Why are you smiling?" Cheek asked. "Because justice has been served," Enami replied. Chika exhaled, the weight of his father's death finally lifting. Days passed and Umoro began to heal. The people no longer whispered about Enami's laughter with fear. Instead, they spoke of him with respect. He heard something carried by the wind, a faint echo of laughter. He smiled. Enami had always seen what others could not. He had laughed not at death, but at the irony of life.